monetizing your castle. Everything you do is all good, but if you want to have a business and not a hobby, it needs to monetize eventually. So while sharing some insights, inspirations on Facebook are not always done with monetization in mind, most of my content, if not all of my content, is created so that there is a monetization plan in place. The structure is in place. This is why it's so important to decide on those things. And yes, they can evolve, but if you decide on one thing, it can start working while you are figuring out other things, right? And that's why that foot in the door, that initial paid, not low cost, but paid offer to get an experience with you is so important for a coach, I believe. So with monetizing the castle, everything needs to lead people into where they can either get nurtured or, if they're ready, get the next step. There's a few tricks that I'm happy to share here. And for example, you can create a footer space that shows on every page. I know that in my website it's possible. And you know what, when you're deciding on the website, sometimes, sometimes some platforms feel very attractive because they offer you all in one and you don't want to figure everything out, but you're stumping your progress because you are not able to create that specific structure that will help you monetize easier. So you're creating sales barriers in your business for people, like barriers for people to enter and give you, like, order something from you or pay you for support. Find a platform for you for your website. I am a huge WordPress advocate because of that, because it's so customizable. And I use Divi as a theme. You don't have to use this, but this is what I use. And Divi is wonderful because it has a theme builder where you can build a footer, and it can be a global footers to show everywhere, or it can be a custom for example, all my blog posts on the footer display the marketing blueprint by design, which is the next step from the free content. Anyone who read something and they feel eager and they feel like, okay, I need myself access to Juliette, they can order it there and then. So I'm removing sales barriers. I'm removing the need to work hard and look for where is it that I can work with her, and it's there. This is how you monetize all these efforts. So while I'm out there creating podcasts and YouTube videos and writing books and whatever I'm doing, right, and bringing traffic to the website, when a person is on the website, the monetization is easy for them. If this is the right person, it's easy. They don't need to dig. They don't need to work hard. And if they're excited, because really the decision making for any investment, most people are emotional, so it's like excitement. Some people are researchers. There's a smaller amount of people are researchers, so then there's that. Then they might research and binge on everything, and still it's available. When they're ready, it's available. There's a last person type who is like, oh, I don't know. They're the ones that you actually need to have some sort of urgency, and they would be responding better to, like, okay, get this by Friday, or here's a coupon. If you order now, then you can use this discount. So, but there's smaller amount. Most people are kind of emotional. So this is where, you have to be ready for that to monetize this excitement. I'm talking about in purely marketing and business, like sales terms, right? It's not about authenticity, because everything you produced was super authentic. Everything you're going to give them after the transaction is super authentic. So this is not a question of like manipulation. This is a question of monetization. This is what we're doing here. This is all connected. You can't monetize if you didn't build out the structures. You can't market confidently if you don't know that, when a person comes to your website, it's so easy for them to get into the next step, right? Also, if you have a suite of offers, yes, of course, some specific pieces can bring to specific offers, but I would say to you, don't do that necessarily on your outer space marketing activities, because you want people to come in into some sort of like, maybe I'm not ready for a webinar right now. If you have this webinar on this particular topic, maybe I'm not ready for that. If I'm on your website, right, what can I get there and then that is not like really specific or a specific type? It's all the questions to ponder on. I cannot tell you what to do in this part, because this is a journey of figuring things out, and you have to try and test and see how you feel and how it works. So let me summarize, because I feel like this is not a separate part, even though probably when I'm writing a book, so I encourage you to grab a book. My goal here is to give you an overview of when you say, okay, Juliette, like, what is this building the castle concept? What is this visibility that sells? That you see how it monetizes. We discussed already that, like, the funnel you have, this is my experience. You can have slightly different. This is why this is not fit all instructions. This is something to ponder and consider and see and ask yourself, okay, so it's interesting. If I was to build this business around myself, how can I, what suits me best? What would provide me the best way of showing up, so it feels like I'm not going to resist this. I mean, we all have days where we're lazy or demotivated. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like internally resisting doing something, and not having a reason for that. By the way, the side note, as a third line human design person, I know that sometimes I can consider something, but there is a resistance of a different kind. It's almost like I resisted out of fear of unknown, rather than feeling like, no, this is not for me because my spleen, I'm a splenic authority person. So it's not that my spleen said, oh, this is dangerous, there's something really off about it. But I actually like literally don't know. So as a first line person, I'm a 1-3, I can tend to hold myself back until I get all the detail. But I've discovered that until I do it and see how it feels while I'm doing it, I will not know. So my knowledge comes from this body, right? This, like, the body, the third line experiences, and then it knows. And in a way, it's the same. What you're watching here is completely imperfect, and sometimes really like all over the place, but it's authentic. This is me recording content for the book that I want to publish. And I was thinking this morning, I woke up at 7 o'clock in the morning and I was thinking, can I do this? And can I do this in this kind of format? And you know what? Yes, I can. And I'm really enjoying it and I'm having fun. So I'm going to have more of these probably. And maybe that's how I'm going to create my other books. Who knows? But this is really, really cool. When you have your structures created on your website, when you have made a decision on what is the next step after the free available content, your videos, your articles, your podcast, what is the next step that a person that came to your website and maybe binged a little bit, or maybe they're ready already, they can take, and without looking for it, without digging, without, very easily, readily available there and then, what is the next step that can allow you monetize your effort there and then also? This is why I'm against freebies, because as a person who gets into freebies, sometimes never even opens this freebie when I download it, or I sometimes get access to some training. I swear to God, I don't watch it, or I watch 10 minutes, then something like, I don't know, squirrel syndrome happened. And, I never, I just never finish them. This is transparency. How many freebies have you taken that you did not either consume at all or open or finish? I would say much more than the ones that you finish. Honestly, just be honest with yourself, because I'm radically honest with myself in this case, right? So what I don't want to do is I don't want to get people like that on my email list. And I know I still have this free training that where I tell people or show people how I use human design in my business. But really, essentially, this is not a training, as in I don't give any information. I am demonstrating how I use human design in business, and I use the marketing blueprint by design, the reports that I create for clients, as an example of those areas that I highlight that are important, I think, to be aware of, not even to know, but be aware of for choosing your business model, for choosing your activities in marketing that will fit with who you are a little bit better, and then exploring them, right? See how they fit, how they sit with you, and then so and then at the end there's a call to action: order the blueprint. So it's not really a freebie for training. And I'm very happy. I see sometimes people sign in, and then they straight away unsubscribe from my emails, and that's fine, because really, when we grow our email list as coaches, when we give info products as our freebies, we are getting people who are only looking for information. They're not looking for support. But what we're selling is support. And we're getting people who are not looking for this. And so then there's like the launches fail or other things happen, and we just feel like it's something wrong with us, start tweaking our offers. But essentially the problem was that you were giving something to people whose goal in their search wasn't to get support. I download freebies and I never even consider hiring this person or getting into their paid products, because it takes so much more connection to this person for me to invest. I'm stingy. Right? And so should you be, because we should only invest into those people who we feel deeply connected to. And a freebie just doesn't do it. So I don't want to be one of those people. I don't want to be one of those people who hustle on Instagram, but other person just scrolls by, or I create a reel and it took me a couple of hours to create this reel, and a person just says, another coach, and scrolls by. I don't want to be that person. This is important in my decisions, what I want to be doing in my marketing, because I don't want to be that. I don't want to be who I don't engage with. Think about your behavior. It's really interesting. I always analyze what happened, what I do. Why did I do this? Why did I do that? Why am I doing this? Why am I looking at this? Why am I not looking at this? What was wrong with that? Why did I not stop and listen to that coach? It's really interesting questions to ask yourself. But with the list, you can still build your list with buyers. I also have a very interesting automation I set up on my email marketing software. Is if somebody joins my, say, for example, watch that free demonstration that I have, and then there is a series of emails which we should have, the follow-up, but then they didn't order the blueprint, and they also didn't open, say, 5 emails that I sent. I kick them off my list, because I want to create a list of potential buyers and buyers. I want to create a list of people who are paying attention. I try and use engagement in my email saying, hey, reply, talk to me, because I want this interaction. And I know that when somebody, like if I don't bother replying, that means it's like, this didn't get me. By the way, side story. I started writing my book on marketing and human design, actually before my late husband, Les, started getting sick. And I hit a little writer's block, and then Les got sick. And so when Les was sick and I already started realizing that this is the end, that there's no hope for his recovery, I remember I had a very, very dark day. Les had brain cancer, and this was the day when I realized that I will never, ever speak to my husband and have a conversation like a normal conversation, that his brain is not well, that he's not all there. It was the scariest day, actually, to realize that's where the grief really kicked in before he even passed away. And that was about a month and a half before he did pass away. And on that day, I got a newsletter from Mari Smith, the online premium Facebook online marketer, who I followed for many, many years. She was probably one of the first people I have ever followed in terms of Facebook marketing. And in that email, Mari mentioned that she was into human design, which I didn't know before. And she was talking about something about human design, and I got so excited that someone I followed, so for so long, and I really admired her for a long time, is into what I am into so much, and I can sense this connection. So I replied to that email, and I told her that I followed her, and I told her, it was like a real fun. It was brilliant. I sent her a link to me on Facebook. I sent her a link to me on Facebook as well, I think. So later on that day, I was still very distressed about, my husband's sickness. And I see a friend request on Facebook coming from Mari Smith. Because I did send her messages before. I watched her videos. There was once she even replied, but we were never friends on Facebook. So she sent me a friend request on Facebook, and we chatted a little bit. And I invited her to be a guest on my podcast. I just became really bold. I never thought that she will say yes, because actually the secret thing is I did invite her to be a guest on my previous podcast, Show Up, Stand Out, which was just like a general visibility podcast before I pivoted into human design. And she didn't reply. I don't know if she saw the message, got really busy. And this happens at the level of influence she has, that you just get too busy to follow up. But this time it was different. So I asked her again. I said that I would absolutely love her to be a guest on my podcast. And she replied and she said yes. And we met and we connected. And on the podcast, it was such a brilliant interview. We really clicked and it was just felt really, really right. And at the end, Mary said, well, if you need anything, Juliette, please ask me. And I just, kind of rolled my eyes and I said, well, I won't ask you to write a foreword for my book, will I? And she said, well, do. Ask me now. So I thought it was such a surreal moment. I was like, okay, Mary Smith, will you write the foreword for my new book on marketing and human design? And Mari, who is a sacral generator, so she really tuned in into this sacral response. She said she had a wave, the whole body said yes. And she said yes. And a month later, our book was published and it became a bestseller. And it's still, actually, as I'm recording this, to my absolute shock, it's ranking on global Amazon at number 25 for home-based businesses. Wow. That is a year and a half almost after I've written the book, right? It's still ranking and it's there amongst the chat GPT and email marketing and set up your Shopify store and all these other marketing books for people creating businesses from home. And there is me there in my queen outfit and Elizabethan collar representing the success and wealth and all the other stuff, talking about on marketing and human design at number 25. Mind blown. When you're asking people to reply in your messages, you never know what magic can happen then. And by the way, Mari doesn't have a book on human design of her own, but she is listed on my book. So, she kind of got to co-create as well, which was so much fun to her. We are still really, really good friends. I was talking about building a list of buyers, building a list of buyers and unicorns. Maybe I should also say it's very important. Unicorns are those people who don't necessarily need to invest with you because, you're just not a fit professionally, but they are so into you that they tell everybody or they share your post. They're amplifying your influence. And this is really, really cool because that's also a stream for monetization when you have everything set up correctly. The long-term vision is really important with monetization because, as I mentioned before, you have the structure, you're marketing every time you create something, it's like a brick in your castle. So to build a castle will require some time. Now, we're not in the medieval times where the castles were built over like generations. It might take a year, might take 2 years. It depends on how much effort you can put into it. And I encourage you to only put effort into it when you actually have something to say and not just like force yourself and create motivational sounding noise. This is really important. And this is also some part of where I mentor people inside Visibility, the Sales Accelerator, is that don't create noise. Noise doesn't monetize either. It's your authentic true self. Here's why it doesn't monetize. You might have short-term monetization success with some, stuff that you just created out of necessity and not because you really truly share. But what happened to me when I did that, and not once, I have to admit, is that I would sell a program on the back of that. But I didn't believe what I created. I didn't believe what I shared. I felt like a big imposter. Even though the program worked and people got results, I still didn't feel like it was true to me, that this was my truth. And so no matter how successfully I sold this program out, and there was one launch in particular, it just like I hit all my dream numbers. And yet, after that, I never promoted again because I felt such an imposter. And that was an internal feeling, not because I was an imposter, but because I did not create the marketing campaign, the content that led people into this offer. I didn't give them, I promised them things that I didn't believe are possible. And even though they were possible and they proved to me that they're possible for them, they were not really possible for me, or I didn't believe in it. See what I'm getting at? It's all about your inner strength. And inner strength is like a muscle. You have to work it out. When you're building a visibility castle, you get to work out your inner strength muscle where you're sharing your authentic self with the world. And with every share, you're becoming stronger and stronger. But like with building a muscle, if you have to build the bicep and you have the, curls that you're doing, bicep curls, you don't see the difference. The difference happens over time. This is what visibility that sells is you are building your visibility muscles, and over time you're going to be ripped. You're going to create that visibility that sells. And this is why I wanted for you to have the vision of what's possible when you look at your visibility the right way, the way that fits you, the way that's convenient to you, and the way that encourages you to push your comfort zone so that you can get results that feel like an accomplishment, that feel satisfying, that get you to feel successful because you've done it your way. I think that this is priceless. I think that this is the ultimate goal. This is where you're living the true legacy, even if you're starting your business without even thinking about living your legacy. Eventually, this is exactly what's going to happen. So there is a bigger vision into all of this. And this is where I hope that I've shifted a little bit of your vision. And so you can see and approach everything you do in building your visibility, as a solopreneur, as a coach expert, using the online space, building the trust, having commitment. So not that you're interested to have a business, but you have a full-time job or a family or something else, bad health, but you're actually committed. So you will find the way. So let me help you find the way that suits you, or work along the way that you sense is your way. Eliminate overwhelm. Try things and brainstorm around whether they're efficient or not for you, how you felt while you were doing this, because you have to do things to know sometimes how they feel, whether they're the right thing. Otherwise, the mind can talk you into doing something that's not right for you, just feels off. So I want to help you to honor these feelings. This is where human design is just invaluable as a map, as a little tool, little compass to use for correct decision making. I am not deliberately going deep into human design here because I do not want, this is not a training on human design. I mentioned already earlier that there's a lot of people who will sell you a lot of knowledge about human design, but do you need it? No, you don't. What you need is empowerment to go and take action, right? To walk your talk. And if you want to learn more, if you haven't read yet, please, there is a Kindle version that's dirt cheap of On Marketing and Human Design, that you can just grab today. There's more information available. If you want deeper access, start with the Marketing Blueprint by Design. I would love to do a personalized report for you, and I would love to meet you on the Zoom call, because that's where magic starts happening. And if you want more, of course, there might be an opportunity, if I have availability and if we're a good fit, to join the mentorship program, Visibility That Sells Accelerator. So thank you so much for watching this with me and all the patience. Share with me questions, thoughts, feedback, so I can improve this book. Let's co-create this book. I will be so happy. If you want, even I'll mention you if that's what you want. Absolutely. If you want to kind of ask a question, it's a really good question that we can highlight. If you want to share some examples in your business and life, what worked, and if you have any human design insights, brilliant, let's feature you in the book. So I am super excited, and thank you again for watching this. I know it's been it took a while, so I'm going to break this into sections if you're watching this. Yeah, it was so much fun. I think I'm going to do it again. I am so looking forward to hearing from you. Thanks again for your time. Love you. And oh my God, it feels so good to take action. That's what I wish for you.